Welcome to another episode of Success Today. I'm your host, Jack Canfield. And my next guest is Dr. Koster. He's all the way from Australia joining us today. And he's a doctor, he's a humanitarian, he is an author and a developer of a program called the Authentic Entrepreneurs, which we're going to talk about. So welcome to the show, Louis.
Thank you, Jack. It's really fantastic to be here.
Just give me a little more background. I mentioned a few things and before we came on air, you were talking about some of the things you do, like Doctors Without Borders, and just give us some background of yourself.
So we live in Australia with my family, and I work as a doctor in an Aboriginal community, this as a locum doctor. And if you really want to challenge your spiritual beliefs, try working as a doctor in war zones. I worked for about 10 years for organizations like Doctors Without Borders, the International Community of the Red Cross, in places like the Sudan, where there was a civil war, in Angola, where I worked in a mesh unit, in Liberia, where actually I was kidnapped by Charles Taylor, and I talked myself out of it. I worked in Guantanamo Bay with the Cuban refugees, and in refugee camps of the Afghan refugees. And at that time, the plane that brought me to my destination, there was Quetta that got hijacked.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was quite an experience.
You have to write your autobiography at some point. That's pretty amazing.
And so out of these experiences, I developed an interest in the human condition, and I had a moment of self-realization that changed everything and challenged everything that I knew about myself and life. Well, actually a moment that I was profoundly pissed off.
Profoundly pissed off. There's a title for a book.
Absolutely. So I had a sense that I had wasted my life and that I had gone through experiences that were entirely unnecessary and self-sabotaging. The revealing moment was when I understood the inauthenticity of the mind and how it actually hoodwinks or made me believe things about myself that in essence had no true reality. What was part of my life is that I had a stutter, and which really, that impacted my life. I felt limited by that. Like in this situation, I was working as a doctor, and I looked at the screen of my computer, I saw the name of the patient, and I started with an A. And for me, that's like, okay, that could be potentially a word where I could have trouble with when I walk in a waiting room and then was about to call in the patient. My mind went off, like speculating on what might happen if I were to stammer. What would people think? Oh my God, a doctor who stammers, you know? And I said to myself, screw it. I'm going to let it be. I'm going to let it be all these thoughts exactly as they are. So I did the counterintuitive thing by just allowing for it, but allowing for it in its totality. And then what happened is when I walked into the waiting room, the name of the patient just rolled out of my mouth. My speech was fluent. What this experience taught me is that the thinking, it creates a that creates an experience that is not a true reality.
Right.
It is an appearing reality that we, in a moment of that experience, we take for reality, and then our actions are then oriented around that, which then shapes our lives. The awareness method is a 3-step process where you go through that, which basically is this principle of allowing for the totality of what arises in your consciousness and not interact with it, not engage with it, which is not comfortable, but you're not going to die, you're not going to fall apart, which then lands you in a place of just being yourself.
I see a trend occurring right now in the culture, in the field, of more and more about authenticity, being yourself, being rather than doing, getting out of your head into your heart,
Yes.
just letting yourself be all of who you are.
Yes.
And then everything unfolds from that.
Yes.
But when you're not being yourself, then you're always trying to do this persona that you're putting out to the world you think is going to work for you, but ultimately it doesn't.
Yeah.
And you don't get the true fulfillment, nor does the world get the authentic you, which is amazingly powerful if you let yourself be yourself. So you have this program called the Authentic Entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And talk about that a little bit. I imagine it includes what we just talked about, the awareness method.
Helps entrepreneurs to gain insight in their true being. And once that is available, then there's a whole new possibility available of living your life, of going about dealing with whatever comes up in your consciousness or just life. It gives an unprecedented clarity once you are located in a place of being. And what it opens up is you then become available to life rather than engaging with the thinking. You take better decisions. You have improved, or you are improving in your executional skills. And also the problem solving is completely different. There's a clarity available from which then you solve a problem, or even recognize that what occurs as a problem really is not a problem, rather than reacting to the thinking. Like what we all do, which is part of our humanity, is that we wake up in the morning, like our mind is full with all that stuff, and then it's how you're going to go about that really determines the quality of your day. And so if you start taking that for reality and try to, what we call, solve whatever is there, that gives a whole different outcome than when you have the ability to just let it be and then return to a place of being where you have the clarity of seeing what is actually true, what is actually real, and then actually then life starts speaking to you, like what is the appropriate, or what is the next action to take that is appropriate given the situation, rather than reacting to the thinking, which, that is in my experience, only brings you into trouble or creates new problems that then you need to deal with.
You know, it's interesting. You work with Aboriginal people in Australia, and I've been doing some work recently with shamans from South America who live really close to the earth. And one of them shared recently, they said, if I throw a ball at you, you don't think, oh, there's a ball coming at me. I should raise my hand, open it up, move it in front of the ball, clasp down. He said, you just do that. And that nature is instinctive. It just does what is appropriate in the moment. And then it's our intellect and what we think we should do or be that gets in the way of that. And then being becomes easy because you're just being.
It is phenomenal. It's phenomenal what opens up once you see through the illusion of the thinking. That is to say, it's just an experience that the thinking gives you, and it's not your true reality. What the thinking does is it tries to hook you in experience of yourself that then you take for reality. The truth is that what you are is undefinable. What you are, you can only be. Get to know yourself by knowing what you're not. That is to say, by realizing that whatever the thinking dishes out and tells you that you are, realizing that actually has no reality. What then reveals itself is your true self.
Now, a question for you. When you work with people, are you working with them individually, in groups, online, in person?
This program, the Authentic Entrepreneurs, that is online, and it starts out with a 5-day intensive. Day 1, it is release from entrapment. Day 2, know your true self. Day 3, plan your future. Day 4, manifest your life. And day 5 is set your mind right. And then we have a 1-year program that is following that. There's a coaching program, or if you want to maintain this over 1 year, this ability to discern for yourself being from the thinking. And I bring it to every interaction that you have in your life, your business, and what comes at you when you wake up in the morning as problems, issues that you need to deal with, to discern whether something is a real problem, yes or no, and how to go about it. I mean, for an entrepreneur to take the right decisions, that is everything. I mean, we tend to react to the thinking, and which is very, very limited, and that only brings us into trouble.
Imagine as people move from the fear of making the wrong choice to the trust of their authentic choice. Yeah, that's really good. Now, you wrote a book. Talk about your book for just a minute. Some people can get a hold of that.
So there's a book called A New Life, Being Aware of Your True Being, with a foreword by actually you, Jack Canfield.
That's right. I don't write forwards for books I don't truly believe in, and I think your book's phenomenal and your work's phenomenal. Unfortunately, whenever we do these segments, I could talk to you forever. You're a very wise being, and I always like sitting in the presence of wise beings and learning from them. I want to make sure people know how to find you. Where do they find you online? How do they reach you?
That's very simple. You go to my website, louiskoster.com, where you find all the information. There is information about how you can contact me. You can contact me via WhatsApp. And on the website there's a description of what we offer as programs and what is available. And I'd love to find out more about you if you are interested in this.
That's great. It's great. Well, thank you for joining us today. You're an amazing being. Realized that when I met you at a retreat that you came to in Italy, and I see that you've evolved in some wonderful ways and your work's evolved. So it's really great that you're doing the work you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jack. Really, I'm very grateful that you gave me the opportunity to have this conversation with you.
Well, I'm grateful you came here and shared your work with the world. It's important work. Thank you.